The conference room was silent except for the soft hum of translation devices. Representatives from 700 worlds sat in their designated seats, watching the holographic display at the center of the chamber. The images were horrible. Entire planets turned into dead rocks. Cities that once held billions now showed nothing but empty ruins. Council Prime. Janor stood at the main podium, his reptilian face showing deep worry. His scales had turned a dark gray color, which meant he was feeling great stress. He had led the Galactic Council for 20 years, but nothing in his experience prepared him for this moment. The Andorian system has fallen, he announced, his voice barely steady. 12 billion lives lost. Our defense fleet lasted only 17 minutes against the enemy. A wave of shocked sounds filled the chamber. Species from across the galaxy made noises of fear and disbelief. Some looked at the floor. Others stared at the images with wide eyes. Ambassador Velthar stepped forward from his seat. He was from a peaceful species that had never known war until now. All four of his eyes were open wide with panic. Council Prime, what about the reinforcements we sent? The Plaxian Armada had 3,000 ships. Janor's scales rippled, showing even more distress. Destroyed, all of them. The enemy vessels were too fast. Our ships tried to retreat, but the Kreth followed them and destroyed every single one. The name hung in the air like poison. The Kreth, a species that existed only to consume and destroy. They were not like other hostile forces the Council had dealt with before. The Kreth did not want territory or resources or power. They simply wanted everything dead. Nina Brooks sat quietly in the back section, reserved for observers. She was young, only 28 years old, with brown hair tied back in a simple style. She wore the gray uniform that marked her as a planetary observer, not a full member of the Council. Earth had been granted observer status 3 years ago when humans finally made contact with the galaxy. The Council had been polite but not particularly interested in humanity. After all, Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, a planet so dangerous that most alien species could not believe anything intelligent had survived there. Nina had spent those 3 years watching and learning. She saw how the Council worked, how they made decisions, how they viewed different species. She learned that most galactic civilizations came from gentle worlds with mild weather and few predators. War was something they studied in history files, not something they practiced. Now she watched as panic spread through the chamber. Council members were suggesting retreats, discussing which systems to abandon, talking about building defensive stations far from the Kreth advance. No one was talking about fighting back. Nina raised her hand slowly. She knew it was a risk. Observers were supposed to watch, not speak. But she also knew what was coming if someone did not act. Council Prime, she called out, her voice clear despite her nervousness. If I may speak? Thousands of alien eyes turned to look at her. Janor's face showed surprise and a touch of irritation. Observer Brooks, this is a critical military discussion. We are dealing with an existential threat to our civilization. I understand that, Council Prime. That is exactly why I believe Earth can help. The chamber erupted in sounds that the translation devices rendered as laughter. It was not kind laughter. It was the sound of beings who thought they had just heard something ridiculous. Councillor Rothick floated forward. He looked like a large jellyfish, his transparent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. His translation device gave his thoughts a calm, almost amused tone. Observer Brooks, no disrespect intended to your species, but Earth has 3 warp-capable ships. 3. We are discussing an enemy that has destroyed fleets numbering in the thousands. What could humanity possibly contribute? Nina stood up fully, meeting the gaze of the floating counselor. Humanity survived on a world that tried to kill us every single day. Our atmosphere was toxic for most of our evolution. Animals that could tear us apart hunted us. Diseases that killed millions swept through our populations. Ice ages froze our world. Volcanic eruptions blocked out our sun. We survived all of it. You built your civilizations on gentle worlds where the biggest danger was maybe a strong rainstorm. We built ours while fighting for every breath. That is very dramatic, Rothick said, but it does not change the military reality. Does it not? Nina took a step forward. You are facing an enemy that does not negotiate, an enemy that does not care about your diplomatic protests or your trade sanctions or your cultural exchanges. The Kreth understand only one thing: violence. And humanity has spent 10,000 years becoming very, very good at violence. We have fought wars you cannot imagine. We built weapons that could destroy our own planet 20 times over, just to make sure no one would dare attack us. We nearly made ourselves extinct several times, and the only reason we survived is because we learned how to fight smarter, harder, and with more determination than any enemy. The chamber had gone quiet. No one was laughing now. Janor studied Nina carefully. "What exactly are you proposing, Observer Brooks?" "Send a distress signal to Earth. Request military assistance. But I need to warn you about something important. Humans do not fight the way you do. We do not retreat when things look bad. We do not surrender when we are outnumbered. We do not show mercy to enemies who show none. If you call Earth, you are calling warriors from a death world. We will save you, but you might not like what you see." Several council members began talking at once. Some voices were angry, saying it was foolish to rely on a species barely into space travel. Others were desperate, willing to try anything. A few sounded frightened, as if they suddenly realized what kind of beings they had allowed into the galactic community. After 30 minutes of heated debate, Janor called for a vote. The results came quickly. 412 votes in favor, 288 against. Earth would receive the distress signal. Nina walked to the communication station with hands that shook slightly. She knew what this meant. Earth had been preparing for this moment since humans first looked up at the stars and wondered who else was out there. Every space station, every military vessel, every weapon system had been designed with one thought in mind. What if we have to fight aliens who are more advanced than us? Now, Earth would get its answer. She typed the message carefully, choosing words that would make the situation clear. The Galactic Council formally requests military assistance from Earth. Hostile force designated as Kreth has destroyed multiple star systems. Conventional defenses have failed. 12 billion confirmed dead. Please respond. She sent the message and waited. The council chamber was still noisy with debate. Some members were already regretting the vote. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the EDF Valiant, watching the star map display in front of him. He was a tall man with short black hair and a face that showed he had seen combat before. At 35 years old, he had spent half his life in the military, training for a war that everyone hoped would never come. Now, the war was here. "Status report," he called out to his bridge crew. Lieutenant Amy Chen looked up from her navigation console. She was young, only 24, but she had graduated top of her class in stellar navigation. "Sir, we are maintaining maximum burn. All 7 ships in formation. ETA to rendezvous point is 47 hours and 12 minutes. Engineering status? Reactors running at 98%. We are pushing them hard, but they can handle it," reported the engineering officer through the communication system. "Though I would not want to maintain this speed for more than another few days." Jake nodded. The Valiant and her sister ships were built different from any vessel the aliens had ever seen. Where council ships were elegant and smooth, human vessels looked brutal and functional. The Valiant was covered in thick armor, plating designed to survive impacts from space debris, traveling at incredible speeds. Her reactor could produce more power than most alien capital ships 3 times her size. And her weapon systems were built on one simple principle: if you have to shoot something, make sure it stays dead. Commander Ryan Peters approached from the tactical station. He was Jake's second in command, a veteran of the Mars Defense Force before transferring to deep space operations. "Sir, I have been reviewing the intelligence files on the Kreth. It is not good news." "Show me." Ryan pulled up holographic images of the Kreth bioships. They were massive organic vessels, grown rather than built, each one 3 kilometers long. "They are living creatures, Captain. Self-healing armor that can regenerate damage in minutes. Their weapons are biological, launching spores that eat through regular ship hulls like acid. The Council's shields do not stop them." "What about our shields?" "Ours are designed different. We use layered defense systems because we expected to fight enemies with unknown weapons. Should provide better protection, but no guarantees." Jake studied the images carefully. 17 of these monsters had destroyed thousands of council ships. The math was not encouraging. What about their tactics? Simple but effective. They surround enemy formations and hit them from all sides at once. Most council species panic when surrounded. Their instinct is to retreat, which is exactly when the Kreth kill them. Then we will not retreat, Jake said simply. How are the other ships? Defiant, Resolute, Thunder, Avenger, Guardian, and Storm all report ready for combat. Captains are reviewing the tactical data now. Jake opened a communication channel to the entire fleet. All ships, this is Morrison. In 2 days, we will engage an enemy that has killed billions. The aliens who called us think we cannot win. They are terrified of what they have unleashed by asking Deathworlders for help. Some of them already regret calling us. But we did not come here to scare them. We came here to save them. He paused, making sure every crew member on every ship was listening. The Kreth think they are the ultimate predators. They are wrong. We come from Earth, a planet that has been trying to kill us since we climbed down from the trees. We survived ice ages and plagues and predators that made the Kreth look gentle. We survived because we are stubborn, because we are clever, and because we never, ever give up. 2 days from now, we are going to teach the Kreth what it means to fight a species from a death world. Across the fleet, crew members felt their determination strengthen. They were scared, of course. Only fools felt no fear before battle. But they were also ready. Lieutenant Sophie Grant sat at the weapons console, running final checks on the missile systems. She was responsible for enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The Hellfire missiles carried fusion warheads, each one equivalent to 20 megatons of explosive force. 56 of them were loaded and armed. An alien liaison officer named Tyrix stood near her station, watching nervously. He was a Plaxian, one of the few alien species brave enough to volunteer to observe human military operations up close. His tentacles twisted with anxiety as he read the weapon specifications. Lieutenant Grant, these missiles, each one is incredibly destructive. No species in the Council uses weapons this powerful. Sophie looked at him calmly. Where we come from, these are actually pretty modest. During the Cold War on Earth, we built bombs 1,000 times more powerful than these. We pointed them at ourselves, ready to destroy our own civilization, just to make sure nobody started a war. That is insane. Maybe. But it worked. We never used them on each other. And now we have them for enemies who actually deserve it. Tyrix's tentacles drooped. I am beginning to understand why my people are frightened of humanity. We are not your enemy, Sophie said gently. We are here to help. I know. That is what makes it so terrifying. If you fight this hard for people you barely know, what would you do to protect your own? Sophie had no answer for that. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Emma Walsh was preparing for casualties. She hoped there would be none, but hope was not a strategy. Her medical equipment was advanced by Earth standards, though it probably seemed primitive to some council species. But what humans lacked in advanced alien technology, they made up for with determination and practical experience. Her assistant, a young medic named Chris Walker, was organizing supplies. Doc, do you really think we can win this? We have to, Emma said simply, because if we lose, those aliens have nobody else. The Council already tried their best and failed. We are the last hope. No pressure then. Emma smiled slightly. We trained for this, Chris. Every simulation, every drill, every emergency procedure. Humanity has been preparing for alien contact since we first went into space. We always knew there might be hostile species out there. Now we deal with it. Back on the bridge, Jake was having a private conversation with Admiral Kevin Hayes through secure communication. Hayes was back on Earth, coordinating the overall defense strategy. Jake, I am not going to lie to you. The odds are bad. 7 ships against 17, and theirs are bigger. Size is not everything, sir. We have better weapons and better tactics. You also have crews who have never fought in actual space combat. This is not a simulation. I know that, Admiral, but these crews are the best Earth has. They volunteered knowing the risks. Every single person on these ships believes in what we are doing. Hayes was quiet for a moment. Just make sure you come back, Jake. All of you. Earth needs heroes right now, not martyrs. We will do our best, sir. The communication ended, and Jake returned his attention to the bridge. They were getting closer to Council space with every passing minute. Soon they would see the aliens they had come to save. And shortly after that, they would face the enemy. Amy called out from navigation. Captain, receiving a transmission from the Council flagship. They are broadcasting coordinates for us to take defensive positions behind their fleet lines. Jake shook his head. Negative. Signal them that we are taking forward positions. We will be the first line of defense. Ryan looked surprised. Sir, is that wise? We have not coordinated with their forces yet. Their tactics failed, Ryan. 12 billion dead proves that. We are not here to follow their failed strategies. We are here to show them how Earth fights. Forward positions, maximum offensive stance. The orders went out to the fleet. All 7 human ships adjusted their course, moving ahead of the Council vessels toward the expected Kreth arrival point. On the Council flagship, Council Prime Janor watched the human ships move into what seemed like suicide positions. Are they insane? They will be the first targets when the Kreth arrive. Nina Brooks stood beside him, watching the same display. That is the idea, Council Prime. Humans do not hide behind others. When we fight, we take the front line. But they will be destroyed. Maybe. Or maybe they will surprise you. Nina turned to look at him directly. You asked for Deathworlders, remember? This is what we do. We do not calculate acceptable losses or plan strategic. The alert alarm cut through the silence on the bridge of the Valiant like a knife. Every crew member snapped to attention, their training taking over instantly. Contact, Amy shouted from her station. Multiple signatures dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Distance 3 million kilometers and closing. Jake gripped the arms of his captain's chair. How many? 17 confirmed. Biosigns match the Kreth profile. Captain, they are huge. Each one is reading at 3 kilometers in length. Weapon status? Sophie's fingers flew over her console. All Hellfire missiles armed and ready. Railguns charged to maximum. Point defense systems online. We are ready to engage, sir. Good. Jake opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Morrison. Hold formation and wait for my mark. We hit them together, we hit them hard, and we do not stop until every single one of those things is dead. The Kreth bioships came into visual range. They were nightmare creatures, looking more like massive insects than spacecraft. Their hulls were organic, covered in thick armor that seemed to breathe and pulse. Weapons ports opened across their surfaces like mouths preparing to feed. Commander Ryan studied the tactical display with growing concern. Sir, they are moving to surround us. Classic encirclement pattern. Let them. It means we can shoot in any direction and hit something. The lead Kreth ship transmitted something that the computers tried to translate. It came through as a mixture of hunger and anticipation, like a predator that had just spotted easy prey. The Kreth had fought the Council species dozens of times. They had never lost. These 7 small ships would be destroyed in minutes. Then the humans opened fire. Sophie pressed the launch button, and 6 Hellfire missiles erupted from the Valiant's tubes. They streaked across the void, their fusion engines burning bright trails through the darkness of space. The Kreth ship tried to intercept them with spore weapons, launching clouds of flesh-eating organisms designed to dissolve incoming threats. The missiles did not slow down. They were traveling too fast, maneuvering too sharply. 4 of them slammed into the lead Kreth ship's hull and detonated simultaneously. 4 20-megaton fusion explosions turned the front section of the bioship into superheated plasma. The organic armor did not just break or crack. It simply ceased to exist, vaporized in temperatures hotter than the surface of most stars. Target 1 heavily damaged, Sophie reported, her voice shaking with excitement. Firing railguns. The railguns were humanity's answer to ship-to-ship combat. Solid tungsten rods accelerated to enormous speeds by magnetic fields. When they hit something, the kinetic energy alone was enough to punch through almost any armor. The already wounded Kreth ship took dozens of direct hits. Its structure could not handle the damage. It broke apart, pieces tumbling through space as its biological systems died. Target 1 destroyed, Sophie shouted. But there were still 16 more. The Kreth fleet responded with fury. Spore weapons launched from multiple ships, creating massive clouds of organisms designed to eat through any hull they touched. These weapons had destroyed Council ships in seconds. The human ships simply moved out of the way. Amy's hands danced across her navigation controls, inputting commands faster than most people could think. The Valiant rolled sideways, dove downward, twisted in ways that ships that size should not have been able to move. The spore cloud missed them by less than 50 meters. "Captain, more spore weapons incoming from multiple vectors," Amy warned. "All ships, evasive pattern Delta. Stay mobile and keep firing." The 7 human vessels moved like dancers, each one following a choreographed pattern that kept them out of danger while maintaining offensive positions. They had trained for fleet combat in the asteroid belt around Mars, where one mistake meant becoming a crater. Dodging alien weapons was actually easier. The Defiant and Resolute targeted a single Kreth ship from opposite sides, their railguns creating a devastating crossfire. The bioship's armor held for almost 3 seconds before it failed catastrophically. Organic matter exploded outward as the ship died. Thunder and Avenger launched coordinated missile strikes against 3 Kreth ships that had grouped together. The fusion warheads detonated in sequence, each explosion channeling heat and radiation toward the targets. 2 ships were destroyed immediately. The third was crippled, drifting helplessly with massive sections of its hull blown away. "Enemy vessels attempting to reform," Ryan called out. "They are trying to coordinate their attack. Do not give them time. All ships, full offensive. Hit them before they can organize." The Guardian and Storm focused their fire on the damaged Kreth ship, finishing it quickly before moving to new targets. Every human ship was in constant motion, firing continuously, never staying in one place long enough to become an easy target. The Kreth were confused. They had fought hundreds of species, and all of them followed predictable patterns. They either formed defensive lines and died, or they retreated and were hunted down. These humans did neither. They attacked constantly, moved unpredictably, and showed no fear whatsoever. "Sir, the Kreth are attempting to surround us again," Amy reported. Jake smiled grimly. "Sophie, prepare proximity charges." Tyrix, the Plaxian observer, made a choking sound. "Captain, you cannot be serious. Those are nuclear weapons. If you detonate them near your own ships, the radiation will kill your crew." "Our ships are designed to handle radiation," Jake said calmly. "Theirs are not. Sophie, on my mark." The Kreth ships moved into position, creating a sphere around the human fleet. It should have been the end. Surrounded on all sides, the humans had nowhere to run. Instead, Jake gave the order. "Deploy proximity charges. Detonate on contact." The 7 human ships released dozens of small nuclear devices, each one programmed to explode when Kreth vessels came within a specific range. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to catch fire. Nuclear explosions blossomed in every direction, creating a sphere of destruction that caught 4 Kreth ships completely unprepared. The bioships had never encountered an enemy willing to use nuclear weapons so close to their own vessels. Their organic armor bubbled and burned, unable to regenerate fast enough to handle that level of heat and radiation. 3 Kreth ships died instantly, torn apart by the explosions. The 4th limped away, trailing atmosphere and biological fluids from dozens of hull breaches. The Valiant shook hard. Alarms blared as radiation levels spiked and temperature warnings flashed across every console. But the shields held, and the armor did its job. The ship had been designed by engineers who expected to operate in the harsh environment near the sun, where radiation and heat were daily concerns. A few nuclear blasts were not going to stop them. "Damage report," Jake ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Forward shields down to 60%. Minor damage on decks 4 and 5. All weapons still operational. We are still fighting, sir," Ryan reported. The remaining Kreth ships, now reduced to 9, pulled back. For the first time in their existence, they were facing an enemy that scared them. These humans fought with a ferocity that made no sense. They flew into nuclear explosions just to get better firing positions. They accepted damage that would have sent any other species retreating, and they kept attacking, never slowing, never showing mercy. "Do not let them regroup," Jake commanded. "All ships, pursuit speed, run them down." The 7 human vessels accelerated, their powerful engines pushing them faster than the Kreth could manage. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters on Earth, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. In space, the principle was exactly the same. Guardian and Storm caught the rearmost Kreth ship and hit it with everything they had. Railgun fire shredded its organic armor while missiles finished the job. The bioship exploded in a flash of light and debris. 8 Kreth ships left. The battle had been raging for 23 minutes. In that time, humanity had destroyed 9 Kreth bioships without losing a single vessel. The Council fleet, watching from a safe distance several million kilometers away, could not believe what they were seeing. On the Council flagship, Janor stood frozen, staring at the tactical display. "This is impossible. Those humans are winning." Nina Brooks stood beside him, her expression a mixture of pride and sadness. "I told you, Council Prime. You asked for Deathworlders. This is what we are." Every weapon on those ships was designed by people who spent thousands of years learning how to kill efficiently. Every tactic they use comes from a history of warfare that most species would find horrifying. We nearly dessed. The 8 remaining Kreth ships had formed a defensive sphere, their weapons creating a zone of death that should have been impossible to penetrate. Any ship that tried to enter would be torn apart by crossfire from multiple directions. It was a formation that had worked against every enemy they had ever faced. Jake Morrison studied the tactical display, his mind racing through options. They had done well so far, better than anyone expected. But 8 Kreth ships were still enough to destroy planets. They had to be eliminated completely. "Ryan, what are our missile reserves?" "Down to 30%, sir. If we use them all now, we will have nothing left if something goes wrong. If we do not use them, we might not get another chance. Sophie, I need a firing solution, one that hits all 8 ships at the same time." Sophie worked her console, running calculations faster than she ever had before. "Sir, if we coordinate with the other ships and launch everything we have left, we can overwhelm their defenses. But it leaves us completely exposed. If even one Kreth ship survives, we have no missiles left to defend ourselves." Jake looked at his crew. They were tired, scared, but still determined. They had come here to save lives, and they were not going to stop until the job was done. "All ships, prepare for final assault. Every missile we have left synchronized launch. We end this now." The orders went out across the fleet. On every human ship, crews loaded the last of their Hellfire missiles. Railguns were charged to maximum power. Energy weapon systems came online, drawing so much power that life support had to be reduced to minimum levels. Lieutenant Amy Chen checked her navigation systems one more time. "Captain, if we make this attack run, we will be committed. No retreat, no evasion. We either win or we die." "Then we better win." Jake opened the fleet channel one last time. "All ships, this is Morrison. We have come a long way to fight these monsters. 12 billion souls are counting on us. Every innocent being in this galaxy is counting on us. When we launch this strike, there is no going back. We hit them with everything we have, and we do not stop until every single Kreth ship is nothing but debris. For Earth, for the fallen, for the future. All ships, attack formation. Engage on my mark." The 7 human ships moved into a coordinated pattern, each one taking a specific position that would allow clear firing lines to all 8 Kreth vessels. It was a formation that required perfect timing and absolute trust in each other. One ship out of position would mean failure. "All ships report ready," Amy confirmed. "Firing solutions locked," Sophie added, her voice tense. "Mark," Jake said quietly. What happened next was the most devastating military strike in galactic history. 7 ships launched every remaining missile simultaneously. Hundreds of fusion-tipped projectiles filled space, streaking toward the Kreth defensive sphere from multiple angles. Railguns fired continuously, thousands of tungsten slugs creating streams of death. Energy weapons lanced out, cutting through space with beams of focused power. The Kreth tried to defend. Their spore weapons launched desperately, trying to create barriers against the incoming missiles. Some succeeded. Dozens of missiles were destroyed before reaching their targets. But there were too many. from too many directions, moving too fast. The first wave of missiles hit. Fusion explosions bloomed like deadly flowers, each one releasing enough energy to vaporize a mountain. The Kreth defensive sphere shattered as ships took multiple direct hits. Organic armor that could regenerate normal damage simply could not handle this level of destruction. One Kreth ship exploded. Then another. Railgun fire found weaknesses in damaged hulls and exploited them ruthlessly. Two more ships died as their biological systems failed catastrophically. The remaining four Kreth ships tried desperately to escape. Their engines pushed to maximum as they attempted to break out of the trap. But the humans had planned for this. The second wave of missiles had been programmed to intercept fleeing targets. Three Kreth ships were caught by pursuing missiles and destroyed in brilliant flashes of light. The last ship, heavily damaged but still functional, managed to get clear of the immediate kill zone. Its organic drives were already preparing to jump to faster-than-light speed and escape. Jake saw it happening on his display. "Sophie, do we have anything left that can reach it?" "Negative, sir. All missiles expended. Railguns are overheated. That ship is going to escape." No, Jake would not accept that. Not after coming this far. Not after fighting this hard. If even one Kreth ship escaped, it could regroup, call for reinforcements, and the killing would start again. "Amy, ramming course, full speed." Ryan spun around in shock. "Sir, you cannot be serious. We would have to accelerate to speeds that would tear the ship apart." "Then we tear the ship apart. But that Kreth ship does not escape. Not today. Not ever." Amy's hands hovered over her controls, trembling. "Captain, the crew. We'll die anyway if we let that thing escape and come back with more ships. This is why we came here, Amy. To make sure the Kreth never hurt anyone again. Set the course." Before Amy could respond, a new voice came over the communication channel. It was Captain Lisa Grant from the Resolute. "Valiant, this is Resolute. We see your intention. You are not doing this alone. We are with you." Another voice joined in. Captain Brandon Cole from the Thunder. "Thunder confirms. If we are going out, we are going out together." One by one, all 6 other human ships acknowledged. They were all willing to sacrifice themselves to stop the last Kreth ship. Jake felt emotion well up in his chest. These were the finest people humanity had ever produced. "All ships, prepare for ramming speed on my mark." Then Tyrix, the Plaxian observer, made a sound of excitement. "Captain, look at your sensors. The Kreth ship, it is not moving correctly. The damage it took is worse than we thought. Its faster-than-light drive is failing." Sophie checked her console rapidly. "He is right, sir. That ship is dead in space. It is trying to activate its drive, but the biological systems are too damaged. It is not going anywhere." Jake felt relief flood through him. "All ships, belay ramming speed. Defiant and Storm, you still have railgun capacity?" "Affirmative, sir. Enough for one more engagement." "Then finish it. Make sure it never moves again." The Defiant and Storm closed on the crippled Kreth ship. Their railguns had cooled just enough to fire one more time. Tungsten slugs hammered into the damaged bioship, tearing through weakened armor and destroying critical internal systems. The Kreth ship shuddered, tried to regenerate, and failed. Its biological processes shut down one by one until finally, it went completely dark. "Target destroyed," came the confirmation. "All Kreth ships confirmed dead. The threat is eliminated." The bridge of the Valiant was silent for a long moment. Then someone started crying. Then someone else. Within seconds, half the bridge crew was weeping with relief and exhaustion and joy. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had actually won. Jake slumped in his captain's chair, feeling the weight of the battle crash down on him. His hands were shaking. His body ached. But they had done it. 17 Kreth bioships destroyed. 7 human ships battered but intact. 0 fatalities. "All ships, damage reports," he ordered, his voice hoarse. The reports came in one by one. Every ship had taken damage, some worse than others. The Guardian had a hull breach on 3 decks. The Avenger's reactor was running at reduced power. The Valiant's forward shields were completely gone. but they were all still functional. They could all make it home. Ryan, open a channel to the Council flagship. The view screen activated, showing Council Prime Janer's face. The reptilian leader looked like he had aged a decade in the last hour. Captain Morrison, I do not have words. You and your people just accomplished what seemed impossible. The Kreth are gone. You saved us. We did what we came to do, Council Prime. But now, we need to talk about what happens next. What do you mean? Your people asked for our help and we gave it. But I saw fear in your expressions when we fought. Some of your council members are probably terrified of humanity right now. They saw what we are capable of, and they are wondering if we are worse than the enemy we just defeated. So let me make something very clear. We are not conquerors. We are not interested in dominating the galaxy. We came because innocent beings were dying, and we were the only ones who could stop it. That is who humans are. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. 3 days after the battle, Jake Morrison stood in the Grand Council chamber wearing his dress uniform. The room was massive, designed to hold representatives from 700 worlds. Every seat was filled. Every species in the galaxy wanted to see the human who had defeated the Kreth. He felt uncomfortable under all those stares. Jake was a soldier, not a politician. He preferred the straightforward nature of the military operations to the complex dance of diplomacy. But this was important, so he stood at attention and waited for the council to begin. Council Prime. Janor rose from his seat at the center of the chamber. Captain Morrison, the Galactic Council has asked you here today to formally acknowledge your service. The Kreth threat has been eliminated. 17 bioships destroyed. 0 council casualties during the engagement. This is unprecedented in our history. We were happy to help, Council Prime. However, Janor continued, his scales shifting to a more serious color, we must also address certain concerns that have arisen. Your tactics during the battle were extremely aggressive. You used nuclear weapons in close proximity to your own ships. You pursued a retreating enemy when most commanders would have accepted the victory. And at one point, you were prepared to sacrifice all 7 human vessels in a ramming attack. These actions raise questions about human military doctrine. Councillor Rathick floated forward, his translucent body pulsing with agitated colors. Captain, we are grateful for your intervention, but we need to understand. How can we trust a species that fights with such disregard for what we consider reasonable limits? Jake had expected this question. He had spent the last 3 days thinking about how to answer it. Counselor, let me tell you about where I come from. Earth is not like your worlds. Our planet has tried to kill us since the day our species evolved. We have survived ice ages that covered half our world in glaciers. We have survived diseases that killed 1/3 of our population. We have survived predators, natural disasters, and even ourselves. Everything about Earth taught us one lesson: adapt or die. He paused, making sure everyone was listening. When we fight with everything we have because that is the only way we know. But fighting hard is not the same as fighting without honor. During the battle, we had opportunities to use even more destructive weapons. We chose not to. We used exactly enough force to stop the Kreth, nothing more. If we were the monsters you fear, would we have shown that restraint? A crystalline being named Sharks spoke up, his voice chiming like glass. But Captain, your willingness to sacrifice your own ships, your own lives, that is what concerns us. Such determination is admirable but also frightening. Is it? Jake challenged gently. Or is it just different from what you are used to? Your species fight to win advantages, to gain resources, to prove points. Humans fight for survival and for principles we believe are more important than our individual lives. We fight for freedom, for justice, for the innocent who cannot defend themselves. That is not scary. That is noble. Nina Brooks stepped forward from the observer section. She had been granted permission to speak on Earth's behalf. Council members, I understand your concerns, but consider what actually happened. You sent a distress call to a species you barely knew. You asked for help from Deathworlders because you had no other options. And what did humanity do? We came immediately. We fought your enemy. We saved your people. And we asked for nothing in return. Does that sound like a species you should fear? Ambassador Velthar stood, all four of his eyes focused on Nina. Observer Brooks makes a valid point. But there is another issue we must discuss. Captain Morrison's fleet defeated the Kreth easily. Your 7 ships did what our thousands could not. This creates an imbalance of power. Humanity has become the strongest military force in known space practically overnight. We never asked for that position, Jake said firmly. We just wanted to help. Intent does not change reality, Rathik replied. Whether you want it or not, Earth is now a major power. The question is what the Council does about this. Janor raised his hand for silence. The Council has been debating this for 3 days. We have reached several conclusions. First, Earth will be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities. You are no longer observers. You are equals. Jake felt surprise and pride. Full membership was more than he had hoped for. Second, Janor continued, we are creating a new organization, the Galactic Peacekeepers, a mixed-species military force designed to respond to threats like the Kreth. We would like Earth to take a leading role in training and organizing this force. You want us to train your soldiers? Jake asked, making sure he understood correctly. Not to fight exactly like humans, clarified Sharix. We could never match your tolerance for risk or your ferocity, but perhaps you can teach us to be braver, to stand when we would normally retreat, to fight for what is right even when victory seems impossible. The galaxy needs defenders who will not give up easily. Admiral Kevin Hayes, who had arrived from Earth the day before, stepped forward. Council Prime, Earth would be honored to help establish the Peacekeepers. But we have one condition. What condition? You must promise that this force will only be used for defense. Never for conquest. Never for aggression. The Peacekeepers protect the innocent and stop threats. They do not invade worlds or enforce political will. If the Council agrees to that, then Earth will commit our full support. The Council members consulted with each other, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of sounds and lights. Finally, Janor spoke. We agree to your terms. The Peacekeepers will be a defensive force only. Captain Morrison, will you accept command of the training program? Jake looked at Admiral Hayes, who nodded approval. I accept, Council Prime. But I want to make one thing clear to everyone here. Human military training is hard. Really hard. We push our soldiers to their limits because limits are what keep you alive in combat. Some of your recruits will quit. Some will complain. But those who make it through will be the best defenders the galaxy has ever seen. We understand and accept that, Janor said. Now, there is one final matter. We must establish formal protocols for how Earth interacts with the rest of the galaxy. Observer Brooks, we would like to offer you the position of Earth's first full ambassador. Nina looked shocked. Council Prime, I am honored, but I am young and inexperienced. Surely there are better candidates. You understand both humans and the Council, Velthar said kindly. You warned us what would happen when we called Earth. You were right. You have proven you can bridge the gap between our species. That is exactly what an ambassador does. Nina looked at Admiral Hayes, seeking guidance. He smiled. Earth officially approves the appointment if you accept, Nina. You have earned this. Then I accept, Nina said, her voice steady despite her emotions. I will do my best to represent Earth with honor. The chamber erupted in sounds that translated to applause. The formal ceremonies continued for another hour, with speeches and official declarations. But the important decisions had been made. Earth was now a full member of galactic civilization, and humanity would help defend that civilization from threats. Later that evening, Jake and Nina stood together on an observation deck, watching stars slowly drift past. The Council had provided repair facilities for the human ships, and work was progressing quickly. We did it, Nina said quietly. Earth is part of the galaxy now, really part of it. It almost did not happen, Jake replied. If the Kreth had not attacked, the Council probably would have kept us as observers forever. Maybe, or maybe this was always going to happen. Humans were never going to stay on the sidelines. We are too curious, too driven, too stubborn to just watch. Jake smiled. You might be right. So, Ambassador Brooks, what is your first official act? Probably dealing with the paperwork from this whole situation. Do you know how many forms you have to fill out when you destroy 17 enemy capital ships? They both laughed, releasing tension that had been building for days. Then Jake's expression became more serious. Do you think they will really trust us? Or are they always going to be a little bit afraid? Nina considered the question carefully. I think both. Trust and fear are not opposites, Jake. They can exist together. The Council will trust us to defend them because we already proved we will. But they will always remember that we are capable of incredible violence when necessary. And you know what? That is okay. Respect based on capability is still respect. I just hope we can live up to what they expect from us. We will, Nina said confidently, because that is what humans do. We meet challenges, we adapt, we survive. And now we get to show the galaxy that Deathworlders are not just warriors. We are explorers, scientists, artists, teachers, and friends. The Kreth brought out our warrior nature. Now we get to show everything else we can be. A message alert chimed on Jake's communication device. He checked it and grinned. First group of alien recruits arrives at the training facility in 2 days. 40 species volunteered. 300 individuals total. Are you going to go easy on them? Absolutely not. I'm going to train them the way Earth trains soldiers. Hard, fair, and effective. Some will hate me for it. But those who make it through will be the kind of defenders the galaxy needs. 6 months had passed since the battle against the Kreth. The Peacekeeper training facility now orbited a neutral world on the edge of Council space, a massive station built specifically to train the galaxy's new defenders. 300 recruits from 40 different species had gathered for the first training class. Lieutenant Brandon Cole stood in front of the assembled recruits in the main training hall. He was a compact man with hard eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. He had trained some of Earth's finest soldiers, and now he would train aliens. The challenge excited him. Good morning, he began, his voice carrying across the hall. I am Lieutenant Cole, your primary instructor. Some of you are probably wondering what you signed up for. Let me make this clear right now. The next 6 months will be the hardest thing you have ever experienced. Human military training is designed to push people to their absolute limits. You will be exhausted. You will be frustrated. You will want to quit. A Plaxian recruit named Vexel raised a tentacle nervously. Sir, is it true that human training involves running long distances while carrying heavy equipment? That is just the warm-up, Brandon said with a slight smile. But understand something important. We are not trying to turn you into humans. We cannot do that, and we do not want to. What we want is to teach you how to think like humans when it matters most, when everything looks hopeless, when the enemy seems unbeatable, when giving up looks like the only choice. That is when you need to find the strength inside yourself to keep fighting. In another section of the facility, Commander Lauren West was working with experienced officers from various species on advanced tactical training. The simulation room showed a brutal scenario. A small fleet outnumbered 3-1, facing an enemy with superior weapons. Conventional tactics say you retreat and call for reinforcements, Lauren explained as the simulation played out. But what if there are civilians you must protect? What if reinforcements are days away? What if retreating means thousands die? A crystalline officer named Kexer studied the holographic display carefully. Commander, I have run this scenario multiple times. Every conventional approach results in defeat. Exactly. So let me show you the unconventional approach. Lauren reset the simulation and changed the tactics completely. Instead of defensive positions or retreat, the simulated ships went on full attack. They accepted damage to deliver devastating strikes against key enemy vessels. They used the environment, positioned themselves near asteroids that could provide cover or be used as weapons. They coordinated in ways that seemed reckless but were actually carefully calculated risks. The simulation ended with the small fleet victorious, though heavily damaged. Several ships were destroyed, but their crews had evacuated safely before the final assault. The civilians were saved. Kexer's crystalline form vibrated with surprise. You sacrifice ships to achieve the objective. Empty ships, Lauren corrected. Ships can be replaced. Lives cannot. The key is knowing when to accept losses to achieve victory. That is the human way. We do what must be done, even when it costs us, because some things are more important than survival. Some things are worth dying for. In the Medical Training Center, Dr. Emma Walsh was teaching alien doctors human emergency medicine. Her students came from species with very conservative medical practices. They were learning that humans took risks others would never consider. Your medical training probably emphasizes caution, Emma explained to the class. First, do no harm. It is a good principle for routine care, but in combat medicine, sometimes you must cause short-term harm to save a life. We will restart a heart that has stopped. We will perform surgery with whatever tools are available. We will push treatments beyond normal limits if it means the difference between life and death. A Rethian doctor looked worried at the human medical equipment. Dr. Walsh, these devices use radiation to see inside bodies. Is that not dangerous? Small doses of radiation for diagnostics, yes, but the information we gain lets us see injuries we could not otherwise detect. The benefit outweighs the risk. You have to make those calculations in emergency situations. Perfect safety is not always possible. Sometimes you choose between two bad options and pick the one that gives your patient the best chance of survival. Emma pulled up footage from actual human emergency rooms, showing doctors working on trauma patients. The alien students watched in fascination and horror as human medics performed procedures that seemed aggressive and risky. But the patients survived. That was what mattered. Back in the main training area, Brandon was running the recruits through their first physical training session. It was deliberately challenging to establish baseline fitness and mental toughness. Some recruits were struggling badly. Others were doing better than expected. A young recruit named Tirval, from the same peaceful species as Ambassador Velthar, was running with determination despite obvious exhaustion. His physiology was not built for this kind of sustained effort, but he refused to quit. Brandon jogged alongside him. "You are doing good, Tirval. Keep that pace." "Sir, I do not understand," Tirval gasped between breaths. "This exercise serves no tactical purpose. Why do we do it?" "Because combat is not just about tactics and weapons. It is about willpower, about pushing through when your body says stop. The enemy does not care if you're tired. The civilians you are protecting do not care if your feet hurt. You do the job anyway because you committed to do it. That is what this teaches." Tirval nodded and kept running. Around him, other recruits were finding their own strength. Some were faster, some slower, but all of them were trying. That was the first lesson. Try. Do not give up. In Nina Brooks's office, she was meeting with representatives from worlds interested in cultural exchange with Earth. Her role as ambassador kept her constantly busy, but she loved the work. "Ambassador, our citizens want to visit Earth," said a delegate from Helix Prime. "They are fascinated by the world that produced such remarkable warriors. But we worry about the dangers." Nina pulled up information on Earth's visitor programs. "Earth is dangerous. I will not lie about that. Our gravity is heavier than standard. Our atmosphere has high oxygen content. Our weather includes storms that can destroy buildings. But we have created safe facilities for alien visitors, controlled environments where you can experience Earth without the extreme dangers." "What about those who want the real experience?" Nina smiled. "We call it adventure tourism. Hiking in our mountains, swimming in our oceans, survival training in controlled wilderness areas. It is popular with species who want to test themselves. We make them sign very detailed safety agreements. But yes, we allow it." Incredible. "And what does Earth want from us in return?" "Knowledge and friendship. We want to learn your sciences, your arts, your history. We want to share ideas and work together. Earth spent most of its history thinking we were alone in the universe. Now we know we are part of something bigger. We want to contribute and grow together with you." That evening, Jake Morrison inspected the training facility with Admiral Hayes. They walked through the various sections, watching recruits study tactics, practice emergency procedures, and train physically. "It is working better than I expected," Hayes admitted. "These recruits are actually learning. They will never fight exactly like humans, but they are learning to think beyond their limitations." "That Plaxian squad attempted a high-risk maneuver today," Jake said proudly. "Their species has never tried anything like it before. They failed, but they tried. That is real progress. The council is pleased. Enrollment for the next class is already full, and we have a waiting list. Everyone wants to train with the Deathworlders now. They stopped at an observation window overlooking the main training hall. Below them, recruits from a dozen species were working together on a team exercise. They were communicating, coordinating, supporting each other. Different species learning to function as one unit. Do you think we made the right choice? Hayes asked quietly. Taking on this responsibility? Jake thought about it. We proved humanity belongs in the galaxy when we defeated the Kreth. Now we are proving we can be more than just warriors. We can be teachers, protectors, and partners. Yes, I think we made the right choice. An alert came through on Jake's communicator. He read it quickly and smiled. Admiral, we have a situation. Not a crisis, but interesting. A merchant convoy is reporting unusual sensor readings in the outer rim. Probably nothing, but the Council wants to send a peacekeeper team to investigate. Our first official mission using the new trained personnel. Who are you sending? Mixed team. 3 humans, 6 aliens from the Advanced Training Program. Led by Lieutenant Sophie Grant. Let us see if our training actually works in the field. 2 hours later, a peacekeeper vessel departed from the facility. It was a new design, built using a combination of human engineering and alien technology. The crew was exactly as Jake described, mixed species working together. Sophie Grant sat in the command chair, feeling the weight of responsibility. This was not a combat situation, just a routine patrol. But it was important because it was the first time humans and aliens would operate together as peacekeepers. Her crew included 2 other humans, Amy Chen and Chris Walker, along with Vexil the Plaxian, Kexer the Crystalline, and 4 others from different species. They had all completed the training program. Now they would prove it was worth the effort. Approaching the coordinates, Amy reported from navigation. Scanning for anomalies. I am detecting something, said Kexer from the science station. Not a ship, more like a distress beacon, very old design. Can we locate it? Yes, it appears to be on a small moon orbiting the 4th planet. Sophie made her decision. Set course for the moon. Let us investigate. What they found was unexpected. An old research station, abandoned decades ago, with a single survivor in stasis. The team worked together to rescue them, using skills learned from both human and alien instructors. When they returned to the facility with the survivor, they were celebrated. It was not a great military victory. They had not fought any battles or saved entire worlds. But they had saved one life, and they had done it as a team. That was what the peacekeepers were meant to be. That night, Brandon gathered his recruits for a final talk before they graduated from basic training. 6 months ago, you arrived here from 40 different worlds. Many of you could barely work together because your species had such different approaches to everything. Now look at you. You function as units. You trust each other. You have learned that being different is not a weakness. It is a strength. Tirval, who had struggled so much at the beginning, stood at attention with pride. He had made it through. So had most of his fellow recruits. Some had quit, unable to handle the intensity. But those who remained were transformed. You are now peacekeepers, Brandon continued. That means you are defenders of this galaxy. You will face dangers. You will face difficult choices. But you have been trained by Deathworlders, and that training will keep you alive. More importantly, it will help you save others. Go out there and make us proud. The graduation ceremony was attended by council members, families, and officials from across the galaxy. When it ended, the new peacekeepers dispersed to their assignments, carrying with them the lessons they had learned. Nina stood with Jake on the observation deck one last time, watching new recruits arrive for the next training class. We did it, she said. Earth is not just part of the galaxy. We are helping to shape its future. Your grandmother would be proud, Jake replied. She said humans were meant for the stars. She was right. I wonder what she would think of all this. Humans training aliens, fighting alongside them, learning from them. I think she would say it is about time. Humans were never meant to be alone. We are social creatures. We need others, even if those others are from different worlds. They watched as the new recruits entered the facility, nervous and excited, and having no idea what they were about to experience. But they would learn, they would grow stronger, and they would become the defenders the galaxy needed. The Deathworlder fleet had come when called. They had saved the galaxy from the Kreth. But that was just the beginning. Now humanity was helping to build something better. A future where different species worked together, where strength was used to protect rather than conquer, where the lessons learned on a dangerous world called Earth would benefit everyone. The stars stretched out infinitely before them, full of possibilities and challenges and wonders yet to be discovered. And humanity would face them all with the same courage and determination that had carried them this far. Because that was what Deathworlders did. They survived. They adapted. They protected. And they never, ever gave up. Nina looked out at the stars again. My grandmother used to tell me that humans were meant for the stars, that we would not stay on Earth forever. I always believed her, but I never imagined it would happen like this. With us saving the galaxy from a species of planet killers? Yeah, that part was definitely not in the stories. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, two humans who had helped change the course of galactic history. Neither of them knew what challenges the future would bring, but they knew that Earth had proven itself. And they knew that humanity would face whatever came next with the same courage and determination they had always shown. The Deathworlders had come when called. And the galaxy would never be the same. Xehanor's scales shifted colors rapidly. Captain, you are correct that many council members are frightened, but you are also wrong about something. They are not just frightened. They are grateful and impressed. And yes, a little bit terrified, but most of all, they are relieved. The Kreth have been stopped. Billions of lives have been saved because of you and your people. So what now? Now, Captain Morrison, you and your crew rest. You have earned it. And then, if you are willing, the Council would like to discuss Earth's future in galactic civilization. I think we need to reconsider your status as mere observers. Jake managed a tired smile. We would be happy to discuss that, Council Prime. But first, my crew needs medical attention, my ships need repairs, and I need about 12 hours of sleep. All of that will be arranged. Welcome to the galaxy, Captain. And thank you. From all of us. Thank you. The communication ended. Jake looked at his bridge crew, at these brave people who had faced death and won. You all did amazing today. Every single one of you. Now let us get these ships to a repair station and rest. We earned it. As the human fleet moved slowly toward the Council repair facilities, escorted by grateful alien vessels, Jake Morrison closed his eyes and allowed himself to feel the victory. They had done it. Humanity had proven itself worthy of the stars. And the galaxy would never be the same. Royed ourselves more than once. The only reason we survived is because we are very, very good at violence when we need to be. But the cost to their ships? They will repair the damage. They will rebuild. That is what humans do. We take hits, we adapt, we keep fighting. You cannot understand it because you come from a gentle world. We come from a planet that tried to kill us every single day. This is just another day for them. Ambassador Velthar approached, all four eyes wide. Observer Brooks, your people are magnificent and terrifying. When this is over, the Council will need to discuss what it means to have Deathworlders as members of galactic civilization. We are not your enemy, Nina said firmly. We came because you asked for help. I know. That is what makes this so disturbing. You fight this way to protect strangers. What would you do for your own people? Nina had no answer because she knew the truth. If anyone ever threatened Earth, humanity would burn the galaxy down to protect their home. Retreats. We find the enemy, and we hit them as hard as we possibly can. It is how we survived on Earth, and it is how we will fight for you. Xehanor's scales turned a pale color that indicated fear. What have I brought into this galaxy? Salvation, Nina said quietly. Or at least a chance at it. The Kreth killed billions of your people. Now they are about to meet a species that has been preparing for war since we discovered fire. Let us see which one is really the apex predator. The hours counted down. 47 hours became 30, then 20, then 10. The human fleet maintained their forward positions. running combat drills and weapons checks continuously. They did not rest. They did not relax. They prepared for battle like their lives depended on it, because they did. Jake stood on the bridge as the final hour approached, looking at his crew. These were good people, brave people, people who believed that saving innocent lives was worth any risk. He was proud to serve with them. All stations, final status check, he ordered. One by one, the reports came in. Weapons ready, shields charged, engines at full power, medical bay prepared, damage control teams standing by. Every system on every ship was as ready as they could be. "Captain," Amy said softly, "the Kreth should arrive in 6 hours." "Then we wait," Jake said, "and we show these aliens what humanity is really made of." The response came back in less than 1 hour. Nina read it on her screen and felt a chill run down her spine, despite the warm temperature of the chamber. Message received and understood. The fleet is coming. Estimated arrival, 48 hours. Captain Jake Morrison, Commanding Officer, Earth Defense Force. Counselor Rathick drifted over to her station, his body pulsing with colors that indicated confusion. "Observer Brooks, this is impossible. Even with the fastest warp drives in the galaxy, Earth is 6 standard cycles from this location. How can they arrive in 48 hours? Nina looked up at him, and for the first time, she allowed herself a small smile. "You do not know what humans can do when we are angry. And when we heard what the Kreth did to those 12 billion people, we got very angry. The fleet is not just coming, Counselor. The fleet is already on its way. They launched the moment they detected your distress frequencies 3 days ago. They have been burning their engines at maximum the entire time, pushing their ships harder than you think possible. Because that is what Deathworlders do. We do not wait for permission. We do not debate. When innocent beings are dying, we move." Rathick's colors shifted to something that might have been fear. "What have we done?" Nina turned back to her console. "You asked for help from Earth. Now you're going to see what that really means."